Alright, so first I'm going to show you what it's like when we play as one of these origin characters, and we're going to go with Thane here. By the way, I forgot to mention something that's important about playing as Undead, and you'll actually notice it here, because this game is actually very player-friendly. Warning! Beware, playing as an undead poses unique risks and benefits. Undead must veil their true selves from the living or risk being attacked. Healing potions and spells will damage you, while poison heals. Undead can pick locks of the bony finger alone and can survive the scourge of death fog. Which is why I actually was like, okay, let's play as Thane, and let's go with Plague as the class here, because of the idea of, well, if he's a class that specializes in poison, that mainly benefits him, because as you can see here, poison actually heals him, which is interesting.
It all happened like I knew it would. A single drop of source magic. And, like flies to honey, the monsters swarmed. The rabble panicked. The carnage began. And the magisters pointed their fingers at me. Just as I'd planned. I was shackled and collared and sent to Fort Joy. I'd come here to kill Godwoken. But instead, I became part of their story.
Hope you caught that those were the characters that we can actually play in this game.
So, still a bit groggy, are we? Don't worry, the sedative will wear off soon enough. Easy now, no need to hurry. Get your bearings and report to me upstairs.
Well now, aren't you a curious sight? If I'd had a mask to hide my bones as well as yours, maybe I'd still be walking around today. Where'd you get it? There can't be many curios like that in the world.
So you'll probably recognize this type of dialogue system here, kind of reminiscent of Dragon Age Origins, as it very much reminds me. This conversation is also very unique to Thane, by the way, because you don't get to talk with this grinning skull if you're not Thane. But yeah, I'll explain the thing on his head in a moment, but you can be able to do a number of dialogue. Now, the ones we get to choose here aren't actually voice acted, even though there are times where the voice actor will still go ahead and, say some things. But, like, whatever I pick here doesn't get, voice acted. It's not like in Dragon Age or Mass Effect where you pick it and then you hear the main character we're playing voice it. So, I crafted it myself, using a tool to rip the faces from mortal creatures.
Is that a fact? And your voice? You ripped that from them too. I've never heard such silken tones from a naked skull.
I can make others hear the voice that I want them to hear. I am that powerful.
So powerful that you've been overpowered by clowns in red capes and a glowing necklace. Well, colour me impressed. Still, you'd best keep that mask on. The living don't take kindly to seeing their future staring back at them.
So yeah, if you're wondering what's with that helmet that we're wearing here, well, it's a unique helmet he has called the Mask of the Shapeshifter, which allows him to hide that he is an undead because, as the game mentioned, you can get attacked on sight for being an undead. And you can actually go ahead and change into different things. If I want to be a human, a lizard, an elf, a dwarf, I can be able to go ahead and do that. Or I can just go ahead and revert to my original form. You can also hide the helmet if you don't like how it looks. There you go. So even though we could see his undead face here, they won't. So, yeah. So this whole opening part here is actually a pretty good, interesting tutorial here. And yeah, this top-down view with this is very much a part of the experience of playing this game. The only issue I have is the way to rotate the camera, which is delete and end. It's like way over here. It's just kind of awkward. But that's just more of an issue of me not finding a proper way to change the key bindings. So, yeah, you can be able to hold down Alt to look at things kind of like in, say, a Diablo game. So if you play Diablo, you'll probably get very familiar with the way that this looks here when it comes to the way the game looks in its interface. You can grab an item here and move it over, and then your character will start moving in that direction. You click here in order to determine where they move. You can be able to go here if I want to say, look what's inside and loot it. And if I want to move it so I can get through the door, there we go.
An animal sty. Freight or food?
The door's locked. Maybe it could be in this vase over here. There's a key. It's unlocked. Lovely. Aha. What shall I do? Let's go ahead and take it with me. There we go. So this is very much a tutorial. You'll see things here like there's oil here on the ground, which applies a slow effect and ignores your magic armor. And it's an oil barrel. If you have a fire ability, you can absolutely ignite this. You know, and have the whole area be on fire.
You there. Come here. Hey. Hey. Get me out of this cage and I'll make it worth your while. You in?
Why are you in the cage in the first place?
Your guess is as good as mine. Someone screamed loud as a banshee. After that, pure pandemonium. They never even told me what I was accused of. Just dragged me down here.
What's in it for me?
Set me free, and I'll set you free. A fair trade, I should think.
Alright, what do I do?
A gentleman among jesters, you are. Give that lever a pull, and I guarantee we'll both get something out of the deal.
Sure.
You can even touch the lever, you hear a sniff and snort behind you as the snoring magister mumbles himself awake. One bloodshot eye opens, and then another.
Is my shift over? You here to relieve me? Wait, you're no magister. You're a sorcerer. What are you doing here, filthy scrounger? Choose your words carefully. My fist.
So yeah, there's a narrator for this that actually, it gives kind of a vibe as if you are... By the way, apparently I can trade with him. What does he have? He's got a bottle of beer and a mushroom and cheese. Oh my. But, yeah, it almost gives like you are going through a story being told with that narrator. It's something, an element I like. And as you can see, there are different elements when it comes to extra dialogue that has to do with gameplay stuff. Like, hey, I want to use this to do persuasion. I can use my wits. And it failed.
Clever story. I almost fell for it. Almost. I should have known there'd be trouble.
So, this is the way the combat works in this type of RPG. You'll notice the AP, that's action points. If I want to go over here, it costs 3 and 4 and 5, which is too much. But this will also affect what you can do when it comes to your abilities. So certain abilities will be determined if, like, oh, if I want to do Noxious Touch, but it's only within this area here. If you want to not cast it, just right-click, and you'll get back to deciding what you want to do here. If I want to do Contamination, I can now be able to cast that on him. I can be able to do so from this range, and it'll cost me 1 AP. It's a dart. So let's go ahead and try that. And we can do Contamination as well. Nope, he died already. Never mind.
The prisoner's buoyant voice darkens as his gaze finds the sunken hollows that once held your eyes.
Ah, freedom. Tastes better than wine. I'm nothing if not a man of my word. And I did give my word I'd set you free, lad. Say your prayers while you've breath to speak them. The halls await.
Oh no, he turned on me. Although he did just ignite all of that oil.
What would he have to gain by killing me? Strange forces are at work.
So if I'm on fire and I walk up here where there's oil, I set it off. So yeah, that hurt. How about that? So you can drop that on the ground and where poison is, and look at that, I heal myself. So yeah, there's a number of things you can do when it comes to poison in this game. If you're playing as an undead, you can get a poison flask compared to an oil flask. Like right here, a small poison bottle. And I could use that on myself to poison myself in order to heal myself. It's quite interesting. So, now once you're done with this tutorial level, you go up this ladder here, and it'll be like, hey, are you done with the tutorial level? Now, this whole ship is basically a tutorial level, but this is like the initial main tutorial, introducing you to various different things about the game here.
Why, you're looking a bit more chipper. Yes. Looks like that collar fits you snugly enough. Nice bit of work, even if I do say so myself. There you are. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash. In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the logs. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters.
Now, I can either take my leave, or I can do some of these other ones here, which you'll notice I have some unique ones here based on my tags. So I can either be a scholar and be like, by the room's shape, I can tell I'm on a Lucian-class frigate, but why? Or as a mystic, I can be like, I had a long black dream about a ship sailing the river of the dead. But you're not dead. But I'm not dead, am I? But that, since I'm undead, that's like, sort of. So like, oh, why am I on this frigate?
Why? Because we're at sea, of course, and have been for several days.
Index fingers pressed to her lips, she pauses a moment to give you a scrutinizing gander.
My word, you do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps I was a bit too generous with that sedative. Oh, well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, all you need to know is that we're en route to Fort Joy.
What does she have? A flask, a herring, a lemonade. Oh, man.
A new life awaits, and if you're a particularly good boy, perhaps a cure as well. An end to sauce. For good.
Uh-huh. By the way, the prisoner is dead.
Is he? Oh, well. Some problems simply sort themselves, don't they?
Yeah, the Magister is also dead.
She frowns and peers at you closely, concern clearly etched upon her face.
Delusions such as these are rare, but not unheard of. I recommend a cup of mulled wine and another night's sleep. Just take it easy.
Why have you collared me?
Why, for my peace of mind, of course. Why don't you try casting one of those sauce spells of yours? See what happens.
So we get something unique to the character we're playing, Fane here, which is recall the feeling of waking up and draining a body of sauce. Recall the rushing power that filled me. Unleash it!
Currents of magic surge inside you, boiling, bursting, then breaking, only to fade back into your soul like rain into the earth.
You better stop before you hurt yourself. All will, but no result. There you have it. See? The collar's function. It neuters you of sorts. Makes you unable to cast sauce. For your own peace of mind, of course. Yours and the whole world's.
So we progress through here.
Good gods, there's been a murder here.
Did the murderer take him into this room? Or was he already here?
So we can chat with them about that and pick up a little side quest about finding out who the murderer is. Oh, ignore this guy. This is the cheat guy that I've got here, where he's like, "Hey, do you want to take advantage of some cheats?" And I've been doing that with some characters. But this is where we get to actually meet some of the other characters that we can either play as or we'll have in our party. Like, we can go over here and meet Sabil.
An elf sits tucked away in a dark spot, lazily rolling dice onto the surface of a barrel. They sound like the dry cackling of an old witch.
Snake eyes.
She chuckles.
I bet that's just what they'll look like.
May I join you?
She shakes her head.
Game for one, I'm afraid. Rolling dice. Deciding fates.
Can you read the future and cow entrails as well?
She eyes you quite seriously.
Not the future, no. But I can read the past, in flesh. One of the perks of being an elf, you see. I'm quite good at it, too. I could lick your arm and tell you how you spent the night before last. Shall I?
I don't see why not. I extend my arm.
She looks at you in surprise when you bear an arm of bone.
My. Guess I'll have to find out the memory from Marrow, won't I?
She gives your arm a vigorous stroke of the tongue, efficient like a cat grooming.
You were in a cellar with other sorcerers, watching, staring at them, hoping that none would stare back. You were desperate to speak up, to reach out, to form a connection with these strange creatures. But you were scared, terrified even, of what they might think of you.
That's exactly right.
Of course it is. The truth's right there, skin deep, so to speak. But don't you worry, darling. Your secret's safe with me. I don't lick and tell.
What? Whose fate are those dice of yours deciding?
Don't worry, honey. It isn't yours.
She looks you up and down with the merest hint of a coy smile on her lips.
Never say never, though.
A scruffy man lounges against the wall with scarred arms folded. A sly smile playing on his face, he stares across at the Magister guarding him. Noticing you,
Watch your
Oh,
back,
sorry.
new fish. There's a murderer on board, and I'd bet 3 months' pay it's this tramp you found.
Noticing you, he straightens and beckons for you to come closer. Sorry.
Rolling his eyes at the Magister's warning, the man named Ifan beckons again. He leans in and adjusts your collar with a sharp tug, balancing its weight so it no longer presses unpleasantly on your neck. He winks.
Pinches less that way, right?
Hocking a phlegmy gobbet in your general direction, the sullen Magister settles back to his task of glowering at Ifan. And now, you.
I'd wish you good luck, but I've a feeling you're the one who won't need it.
So let's meet the Red Prince. Now, I want to hold off because I want to catch a dialogue here between him and this other... Yeah.
Classify this slop as food. I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs. Well, what have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell. Let's size you up, shall we? See if you'll do.
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching horse. All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
I'll see where this leads.
There's some discoloration, as well as a rather disconcerting lack of tongue and gums, but I've seen worse. After all, one can't expect to find prime merchandise on a squalid little ship like this. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you cook?
So, I have generic answers, or I have either an undead answer, which is I can, but that sense of my taste isn't what it used to be, or I can do one that's unique to Fane and say, it's been an eternity since I've tried.
In which case, I take it your cuisine is limited to the introduction of eggs to hot water. How disappointing. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor?
Oh, most certainly. Given a sheet of satin, I could make a bum look like a baron.
Oh, but to feel the caress of satin on my scarlet skin once more. A most satisfactory answer indeed. On then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after.
Oh, I most certainly have personal pride. I'm no stranger to combs, powders, and perfumes.
The very basics, then. I suppose that's a start. So, 3 questions asked, 3 questions answered. Let's evaluate, shall we? As per your own testimony, you can tailor and groom, but you have the taste buds of a dung beetle. Still, beggars can't be choosers. So without further ado, I offer you my sincerest congratulations. As of now, you are my slave.
Oh, I'm over the moon! I accept!
Of course you accept. Mine wasn't an offer, it was an order. Anyway, you may leave me for a moment. We'll go over your duties once we reach Fort Joy. Now shoo!
Always knew you'd turn out rotten, Ben Mest.
I spent my life singing for my slaves to bring me my supper. Finer fare than boiled roots and rotten tubers, too. Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat behind this very wall. The indignity.
Now, by the way, you'll probably have figured that depending on who you play will affect whether or not you encounter the character in here. If I'm not playing as Fane, he would be right here. Such as if I was playing as the Red Prince, he obviously would not be right here. So, let's go talk to Lose.
Picking us off one by one.
Ah, there you are. Husband. Would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not-at-all brat-like babes that I am by no accounts this Losa woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deathly allergical.
Losa, excuse me. Like I said, sometimes it's very hard for me to remember how her name is pronounced. Children, you must be mistaken.
How very correct you are, spouse of mine. Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peeb refuses to be confused with anyone else. What? What's so funny?
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her with a laugh.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and git, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and ready.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flatly.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we?
So if you didn't catch the earlier dialogue options, those were there was at least one example there showing just how awful of a person you can be in this game. True enough. Losa, I presume?
You presume right.
You know, we could watch each other's backs.
Thanks, but I already belong to an elite and exclusive ship gang. We play ball every day after lunch. You're too soft for it. You take care, though.
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. Greyish veins run down her face, and her mouth tightens into a cruel sneer. As quickly as they came, the clouds clear. She smiles as though no change came over her.
Good luck, Chief.
I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken pigs.
A broad dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knees. His beard is a cascade of meticulous plaits, each one braided through with golden medallions. He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't open his eyes.
Listen up, boy. You hear that?
What do you mean?
The ship, of course.
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you, complaints from the sea itself.
And?
I think my shipmates are rather chatty as gulls. I can barely hear over the din.
A calming sort of sound, isn't it? Where there's talk, there's health. That's all you hear, though. Listen close. There now, just like that. Squeak! Aha!
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great paw claps you on the back. The other catches you before you lose your footing.
There. You heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, boy. Good news. Yes, I know what that means. Heading for the joy we are. And after that...
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all. Thank you kindly, boy.
There's something else I want to show off.
Be good, you scallywags.
You! Sorcerer! Blood? No! Go!
Now, if you're wondering, wait a minute, did we just hear that dog talk? So, let me show off something that's actually really, really cool. There is a talent in this game that lets you be able to chat with animals. Pet Pal. Yes, that is a thing. Now, usually you have to spend a talent point to get that, but I, found a mod that lets you get that for free, plus you can also get one that increases the attitude. Actually, no, I take that back. That's accessible through this. So, this is the definitive edition of the game, and this lets you have certain little things that you can go ahead and activate as add-ons. That's just kind of part of this edition, I guess, which, like, increases your action points, does something with the black cat, but here's the one I'm talking about. Allows all player characters to talk to animals without having to spend a talent point. Also changes Pet Pal talent to grant maximum positive attitude in all conversations with animals. So you're able to get, plus pet power, but that's more of a summoning thing. But let's just say that Pet Pal is a very, very popular talent, and you can see why. You can actually have conversations with animals in this game, which adds quite a bit to the game when it comes to interactions and even quests. Like, you can get a quest from a dog at Fort Joy where he asks you to go help find his mate, and you find out that she's a source hound against her will and is really having to do that where she can't stand it. But I've yet to figure out a way to save her, so to get her to reunite with him. But I'm sure there's a way to do that. I just have to look up the guide on how to do so. So once you've done kind of like messing around and kind of chatting with everybody, you can then kind of make your way in here, which is going to continue the main plot and kind of progress what you can do when it comes to the tutorial aspect of it. So that's just kind of like I wanted to show that those kind of things. There's only one thing I want to show more that has to do with playing as Fane here, or rather another origin character.
You faring okay so far?
I'm fine.
Glad to hear it. You head on in now. Williams will get you sorted fast.
I'll tell you if those bolts trained on her.
Standing at the center of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella?
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God, the woman's mad. You there, sorcerer, go and fetch Magister Siwan. We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
What did you mean by there are others whose lives must end?
It means your journey draws to a close. Do stick around for its finale, though, because...
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, men, quickly! If she casts Source, the Voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
Mask. She stole it. If these savages see me without it, they will have my skull for a goblet.
So yeah, I just want to show that, you know, the unique voice that happens there for the character we're playing. I find it interesting that she took his mask because... So, but yeah. It wrecks basically the whole ship and actually kills everybody except the characters that we are going to have in our party. You'll notice that they just have the stars around their heads showing that they've just been knocked unconscious, ready for us to rescue them and get them out of here. Though we don't necessarily have to, because the game, of course, gives you the option to choose not to do that if you want to go for a more villainous route. And I am... Well, I'm honest, let's just say that even though I'm going to be wanting to do some, obviously, good guy runs, I'm kind of tempted to see what it's like to play as a very villainous character, but that's more so for me to kind of mess around with on my own time. But like I said, from what I've heard, this game can take a long time to do. So, that's what's like going through this as an origin character. I think I may show you another origin character, but I'm definitely also going to show you guys what's like to play through this as a custom character, so that way you can then see how it changes the placement of the origin characters based on who you're playing, and if you're playing as a custom character. So stay tuned.